Hello, my friends. The situation on the front lines is worsening every day. The Russians are gradually advancing. Besides pushing forward with a large number of troops, they've also started using new drones to intercept Ukrainian drones. Overall, they are not standing still and are steadily improving their tactics. As a result, the war became more complex with each passing day. And yesterday Putin made a statement.
Для этого, как я уже говорил, изложено в моем выступлении в Министерстве иностранных дел. Идет о полном выводе всех войск Украины из Донецкой, Луганской народных республик, из Запорожской и Херсонской областей. Условия, но это все предмет для достаточно подробного рассмотрения в ходе возможной совместной работы.
As you can see, this individual aims to take over exactly these four regions. Therefore, Russia's plans remain unchanged. And Orban said that after visiting Kiev and Moscow, he realized that the positions are very different.
Как раз одна из очень немногих таких стран. Поэтому на неделе я был в Киеве, и поэтому сейчас я нахожусь в Москве. Я по опыту понял, что позиции очень далеки друг от друга. Нужно совершить очень много шагов для того, чтобы приблизиться к завершению войны.
Now let's move on to the situation along the front line, starting with the Kharkiv direction. Here the Russian occupiers continue to bring in new reserves from their territory to carry out further assaults. However, this approach appears to be destined for failure. The Ukrainian Armed Forces have successfully halted their advance and even managed to reclaim some territory. Therefore, the only thing the Russians can achieve with their offensive actions here is to tie down our troops and increase their expenditure of ammunition, which is already in short supply for maintaining the defense. And they are indeed managing to do so. The Ukrainian Armed Forces have to fend off daily attacks near Hlyboke, and the Russians persist in their attempts to break through to the settlement of Liptsi. Despite this, the front line remains unchanged, and the Ukrainian Armed Forces periodically conduct counterattacks. And last evening, unofficial reports started to surface, claiming that the Russians might have regained control over the village of Hlyboke, but there are no confirmation of this yet, so we are waiting for more information. In Vovchansk, the fighting continues unabated. The Russians are trying to reclaim lost territory, but the Ukrainian Armed Forces are holding a strong defensive position here. They are also conducting counterattacks to push the Russians out of the town. So far, complete success in this regard hasn't been achieved, but the battles are ongoing. In the Kupiansk direction, Russian forces continue to assault the village of Synkivka. It has taken them over 6 months to capture less than half of the village, and now the fighting continues for the remaining part. Despite these ongoing battles, the front line remains unchanged, with all assaults being repelled by the Ukrainian Armed Forces. There are no new attacks reported along the front line, and following their successful advancement near Pishchane, the Russians have started regrouping. In the Svatove region, attacks on Stelmakhivka are ongoing, with Russian forces attempting to break through from Novoselivka across the fields in an effort to strengthen the front line. However, there are currently no significant changes in this area. Further south, near the villages of Makiivka and Hrekivka, the situation is more complicated, as Russian forces are gradually making progress, having conducted more than 10 assaults in just one day. In the Kreminna direction, the situation remains stable. Russian forces haven't achieved any significant success, but they continue to launch attacks on the settlement of Nevske, Terny, as well as in the forest near Kreminna. Over the past 24 hours, the front line hasn't changed. In the Siversk direction, activity continues. Russian forces are attempting to fully capture Bilohorivka, but so far they have been unsuccessful, with half of the village still under the control of the Ukrainian forces. There are also ongoing attempts to break through to Vyimka, and fighting continues near the settlement of Spirne. Despite some minor gains by the Russians in this area, there has been no significant breakthroughs, and the front line has remained unchanged over the past 24 hours. The situation in the Chasiv Yar direction is worsening daily. Reports from the Ukrainian Armed Forces indicate that the Russians have started using drones equipped with nets to intercept and block Ukrainian drones. This development shows that the Russians are adapting and trying to achieve success through technological advancements. Currently, there are ongoing assaults on Ivanivske and Klishchiivka, and intense fighting is reported on the outskirts of Chasiv Yar. Additionally, attacks on Kalinivka haven't ceased. The Russians, despite having secured positions in some micro-districts, are attempting to extend their flanks to facilitate the storming of the city. However, so far they haven't made significant progress on the flanks. The situation in the Donetsk direction is extremely dire. Ukrainian soldiers report that Donetsk is situated on elevated ground, and if the Russians manage to capture it, the situation in all surrounding settlements will seriously deteriorate. Overall, hope rests on the strategy of our command. However, it's evident that the Russians are gradually encircling Donetsk. Simultaneously, assaults continue in the direction of Pivdenne, Pivnichne, and Niu-York, where they have made advances and street fighting is already underway. The situation here is, to put it mildly, critical. Most likely, the defensive lines were insufficient, which is why the Russians were able to break through to these settlements relatively quickly. The activity in the Pokrovsk direction remains the highest. Unlike the Donetsk direction, where 20 to 30 assaults are recorded per day, there were 38 assaults conducted in the past 24 hours. The Russians are still trying to capture Vozdvizhenka, a key village due to its strategic location near the main road. Beside that, there are ongoing battles for Novoselivka, with attempts to break through in progress. Yevgenivka, then Kalinove, also Novoselivka-Persha, and fighting continues near Yasnobrodivka. The Ukrainian forces are doing everything possible to hold the defense. Despite the efforts, it's evident that the Russians have made some progress over the past few days, and the battles continue for every meter of land. In the Kurakhove direction, the occupiers have conducted 7 assaults, and they continue trying to capture the northern part of Krasnohorivka. They are also attacking the outskirts of the village of Kostantinivka. However, there have been no new changes along the front line in the past 24 hours. In the Vuhledar direction, attacks on Makaryvka are occurring periodically. The occupiers have managed to get quite close to the city, leading to continued assaults. The attacks on Vodyane also persist, but there have been no new changes over the past 24 hours. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, the occupiers are trying to break through to Mala Tokmachka. Despite their efforts, they haven't achieved any success, and the front line has remained unchanged over the past day. And in the Kherson direction, the occupiers claim that they are not conducting any assaults. However, the General Staff of Ukraine reports that periodic attacks are indeed taking place, though they have been unsuccessful for the Russians. As a result, the front line remains stable without any significant changes, but shelling of the right bank continues, and Russian military correspondents have reported the following. In the Kherson direction today, We didn't engage in any active operations. The enemy keeps all islands under their aerial control. The same situation is happening in the Zaporizhzhia direction near the settlement of Robotina. We have made small advances everywhere, but this is just to keep the Ukrainians from relaxing. Across the entire front, the Dnieper group is feeling a lack of manpower. As unfortunate as it is to say, the motivation of our soldiers to advance and assault the Ukrainians has dropped significantly. There are several reasons for this. First, fallen soldiers are not immediately, or sometimes not at all, recovered and sent home, leaving them listed as missing without any compensation for their families, which nobody wants. Second, nobody is currently motivated to engage actively and take initiative. Everyone is trying to preserve their lives for rewards for their commanders for a task completed, knowing they will be forgotten shortly after. No one has extra lives. Third, none of the leadership, including those in Moscow, can provide an answer why die heroically if there is a chance to survive until a possible truce, which is being widely discussed right now. So it seems that the southern directions are not a priority today, leading to a shortage of manpower in these areas. And the main battles are concentrated in the Pokrovsk, Donetsk and Chasiv Yar directions, and if the Ukrainian armed forces had enough strength for an offensive, initiating a counteroffensive in the Zaporizhzhia or Kherson directions could disrupt Russian plans, and this would force the Russians to shift reserves from hotspots to these areas. But unfortunately for now, Ukrainian forces can only repel Russian attacks. And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.